Hello viewers, welcome to the fundamental concepts at ease. In these videos, I am going to present some of the difficult concepts which are definitely difficult to understand for the students who are going to class 11 and class 12. So in these videos, I will be dealing with some of the concepts in a clear and better way, and also dealing with some of the problems so that it will help you to solve the highly complex problems which are coming in your way. So here all the concepts will deal with class 11 and class 12 subjects. So please try to subscribe this channel so that I keep posting different video concepts of this physics so that you understand them in a better way. So first of all, we will move on to the first topic of this class today, that is vectors and scalars. In vectors and scalars, first we have to understand what do you mean by them. So first we will talk about some physical entities. What do you mean by physical entities? As you see in the display board, velocity, displacement, force, temperature, distance, speed, we are terming them as a physical entity. That means we see around them and we feel them today, day by day. And by velocity, what do you mean? It is how fast an object is moving. That means you can also say it is the speed of an object. But when you are calling it a velocity, it means you are saying there is a direction to that particular object. So velocity here is having some magnitude as well as the direction it is moving. Similarly, the force means how strongly we are pushing or pulling an object or a person or something. That means you are lifting an object from the ground or you are pulling something from the top, something like that. Displacement is the shortest path taken by an object or a person. So when you are saying a displacement, there is a difference between displacement and distance. There is suppose there is 10 kilometers between A and B. Suppose if a fellow is taking this path, so displacement is only 10 kilometers, but the fellow is taking some around path like this, so it will be around 12 kilometers or more than that. So this is distance. The distance can be 12 or 10 or 12, but displacement is always 10 kilometers only because it is the shortest path. Okay. And next about temperature. See, temperature, suppose you are living in a room or in a place where it is very cold. So when you are saying temperature, it doesn't change from one corner of the room to other corner of the room. It is same everywhere. That means it is only having only one value. That is, suppose we are saying 25 degrees Celsius, that means it is also 25 degrees Celsius. Similarly, that means the temperature doesn't change with place and position. Similar time doesn't vary with position. So if you go to Hyderabad, if you go to Delhi, the time is same, and that doesn't change with the way we travel also. Similar distance I already explained. It is there is a difference between displacement and distance. Speed means when you are saying how fast an object is moving or person is moving. Speed is only, we are conveying only one value. That means 40 kilometers per hour means 45 kilometers. That's all. We don't say anything about it direction of moving. So what you are saying finally, it is in these concepts, that is we are dealing something like, we are saying different entities like velocity, force and displacement, temperature. So here everything has some magnitude and a direction. Some of them having some magnitude as well as direction, but some things are not having any direction, only magnitude. So we can differentiate two things, like some things which is having a magnitude and direction, and some things which doesn't have any direction but only magnitude. Suppose some of the examples in the, let's see, something we are calling about monsoon winds, or in the rainy season generally we talk about monsoon winds. So monsoon winds means winds which have direction. That means they are having a particular, they will travel only in that direction. Presently in rainy season we have what we call as southwest monsoon. That means that winds will come from our south and west side. It is in between these two sides, something like this. Suppose here this is north and and this is north and this is south and this is west and this is east. That means the wind will come from this direction, southwest side. Similarly, the moving car. Suppose when you are saying a moving car means it is moving in particular direction as well. Falling drops means what? It is falling from top like this. It is also having some direction downward. Lifting objects, you are lifting objects in this direction as well as that means suppose 10 kgs you are lifting as well as direction you are lifting top from bottom. So these all having some direction as well as some magnitude. So what you can say is, we can say is there are two quantities where we have magnitude and as well as direction, and some things don't have a direction. So here the vector, the quantities which have both magnitude and directions are termed as vectors. So vector is a mathematical representation of a quantity which have magnitude as well as direction. Similarly, we can call like this. It is represented as a line segment. See, if we saw here, a vector is represented with a line and an arrow. It is called the start or tail, starting point or tail it is called, and this is called head, and is represented by a arrow mark. So this is how a vector is represented. Vector means it is having a magnitude and a direction. So a vector can be represented by a line with an arrow mark here. See, this is called tail and this is called head, and the length of this is generally called as a magnitude. Length of the vector represents magnitude and is having the direction. Generally, this magnitude is always is a scaled version of the value of the vector. So when you are drawing any vector quantity like this, suppose the vector value is 10 meters, you can't draw 10 meters line here. So this is a scale version of 10 meters. That means 1:10. This is in the ratio of 1:10. That means it may represent 1 meter. But this, when you are taking a factor 1, that you have when you are representing one more vector, this all should have same factorization. Suppose this is having 5, then means this is half of it. It means you should have 0.5 meters here. So whatever scale you represent with this vector here, the other vector also should have same scale. Okay. Next we move to scalars. It's a mathematical representation where the quantity is having only magnitude. That means doesn't have a direction. Something like speed, distance, time. These are all called as scalars because that doesn't have any direction. Suppose, for example, you are taking a length of, suppose you are saying a rectangular area where suppose for scalars it means does it have only value? No, it doesn't have a direction, no direction. Okay. And similarly, now examples are there. Suppose the length of rectangle. Suppose you take. So like this, there is a rectangle. Okay. And this is width, and this is length. Suppose you are saying, suppose L is equal to some 1 meter, and W or width is equal to 0.5 meter. So length is a scalar quantity because it doesn't have any direction. It's only telling about some value. Similarly, this is also having some value. So now you say perimeter. So what is the perimeter means? This is total length. That means perimeter of rectangle is equal to 2 times L plus 2 times width, right? That is 2 meters plus 1, 2 into 0.5. That is equal to 3 meters. So this perimeter of the rectangle is also a scalar because it doesn't have a direction, doesn't change whether you multiply like this or you multiply like this. Similarly, if you say temperature in a room, suppose temperature in a room is equal to 24.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is, suppose you are assuming this is a maximum temperature, and minimum temperature, suppose you are saying is 20 degrees Celsius minimum. So that doesn't have wherever you go in the room, the maximum temperature will be this one, and by the evening it will be 20 degrees or the minimum. So it is common here. So difference temperature will be like 4.5. This is also a scalar quantity that doesn't change here. So similarly, suppose suppose we say volume of a cube. Volume of a cube. Suppose volume of a cube. Cube means it is a in this format, right? This is a cube of some size, okay, 1 meter or something, and mass of this cube is, it means weight is 1 kg. Suppose the volume is, suppose you say 1 meter by 1 meter, all sides are 1 meter. So volume will be how much? Volume will be 1 into 1 into 1, that is equal to 1 meter cube, right? And density, suppose when we say density is what? Mass by volume. That is equal to 1 kg by 1, that is equal to 1 kg per meter cube, right? See, wherever you go in this, the mass will be, the density will be same. It doesn't change. So this is also a scalar quantity. These are some of the examples for density, mass. These are all examples for scalar quantities. Okay. And here you see the scalar represented by normally by a small letter C, B, C, and there doesn't have any narrow on the top. It's normal letters. So the next topic will be, see, when you see here to representation of a vector quantity and a scalar. See here a car. When you are saying a scalar quantity is having the speed, that means it doesn't have a direction, only some value is given 45 miles per hour. So when you are saying a vector quantity, velocity is a vector because we are giving some value to the direction. That is, it is inclined towards 30 degrees. Suppose that it is something like car is moving on the uphill. It is moving on a hill or some ramp, it is up, climbing up. So then we are saying means it's having a direction as well as some velocity, some value here. So when you are combining these two, it is called a vector. But when you are saying only the value here, it is called as a scalar quantity. Okay. So, and one more thing is, we go next chapter is types of vectors. In types of vectors, we have different type varieties here, like vector and unlike vector. So like vector and unlike vector are similar, like see, they represent, when you are saying that two velocity vectors like A and B, A is a velocity vector and B is a velocity vector. So they represent, one is having 10 meters per second and another is having 5 meters per second. Then these two are called as unlike vectors because they represent same velocity vector, but even though the magnitudes are different, they are having same direction. So in that case, they are called velocity like vectors. So in unlike vectors are something like, suppose when one of the vector is like this, some 5 meters per second, then this C and A are unlike vectors because still they are having the velocity, they are representing velocity vectors, but they are having different opposite directions, with different magnitudes. They can still they are called as unlike vectors. Similarly, force, anything, see, they should represent, the only thing is here common is they should represent same physical quantity. Same physical quantity means both should be either velocity vectors or force vectors or displacement vectors. Okay. Equal vectors means when the same physical quantity, suppose if there are two vectors A and B and they are having same direction and they are equal, like 10 and 10, then they are called as equal vectors. Similarly, the zero vector here, see, zero vector or null vector, see, when you are having two quantities like A is equal to 5 and B is equal to some 5, and difference between these two vectors is also a vector, that is equal to 0. So, and when this vector has some direction, suppose this is A and this may be like this B, and when both are same, there is a there is a resultant vector which is 0, like this. It may be, this is minus 5 means it will become like this, but there is 0, there is no magnitude for this one. That means magnitude is 0, but it has dumb direction. Similarly, coplanar vectors or collinear vector or parallel vector. Collinear means when there are two vectors like this, one after the other or parallel to each other and having same direction with different magnitude. This have some 5, this has some 6, and this can have 10. These are all parallel vectors, also called as a collinear vectors. Okay, they can be like different vectors. I mean, they can be velocity or force. It's not a compulsory that they should be both should be velocity and both should be force. It can be different. Similarly, we can talk about coplanar vectors. This so suppose this is B, this is Y, and this is X. This is a coordinate plane. Suppose there is one vector A and there is one more vector B like this. So this is not that. And as they are lying in same xy plane, this is a plane, right? Suppose you imagine in a room there is a corner like this. Okay, this wall is called a plane, and this wall is also called a plane, and this wall is also called a plane. So a plane having two axes, and one is perpendicular to each other. So any vector lying in this plane are called as coplanar vectors. They can have different magnitudes and directions as well. Okay. And next is a free vector. A free vector, you can assume that suppose there is a suppose you can imagine a free vector like this. Suppose there are two vectors A and B, and this is A, and there is an angle between them. Okay, this is the axis, x-axis. Suppose if you are able to move this vector along this line here, this vector A, B like this, parallel to, then this vector B is called as a free vector. That means it doesn't have a fixed point, fixed origin. It can move from one place to other place, but without changing its magnitude. Suppose magnitude is B here, is still at B, and both are parallel. That means direction is same. So that kind of vectors are called as a free vectors. That means they can move any plane without changing the direction as well as its magnitude. Next is the unit vector. Generally, these are the fundamental vectors where these are helpful in understanding things better. So here, unit vector means the magnitude of the vector is always equal to 1. That means their length is equal to 1. So they can have different directions, but in whatever direction we propose, their magnitude is always equal to 1. So they can be written in the format A is equal to vector A is equal to, this is the magnitude into direction. I represents the direction here. So generally they are represented by I dot like this. These are all ij small letters with a cap on the top. So when you are saying the magnitude, suppose A is a unit vector, then magnitude of a unit vector is always equal to 1. So here I is a unit vector. When you are representing I is equal to A vector A divided by its magnitude. Generally this magnitude is equal to 1, doesn't change. So generally this ijk are called the unit vectors in x, y, z directions of the coordinate system, whatever you are going to learn next. So when you are saying unit vector is 5 times I or like 3 times j, that means this unit vector is having 5 units along x-axis, and j means 3 units along y-axis. The similar way, whatever we are going to explain later, we'll understand what are meant by this ijk. So ijk is they are actually unit vectors in coordinate axis system. So next is suppose I will go to next is the Cartesian coordinate system. I'll come back here again. Cartesian system is as you see here, there are three perpendicular axes which are in this fashion, x, y and z. This is called as a reference system. So whenever you are representing a vector, you can easily represent in this coordinate system. For a 2D type, see in this coordinate system, this is a 2D type. It means only x and y, and this is a 3D version where we have x, y and z. Okay, and so suppose in this direction unit vectors will be represented like this. So this is one unit, this unit is 1 here direction, this is 1 and this is 1. So any unit vector in the x direction is called as I, it represented by, and here it is j and this is k. That means a vector can be represented in 3 directions here. So in Cartesian, when you are writing down a vector form in Cartesian coordinates, these unit vectors are quite helpful. Similarly, when you are writing in 2D, when we have only 2, that is I and j, there are only I and j. Okay, so next we'll go back to this position vector and come back. Next is the position vector. See, position vector is something like this. If it's in a coordinate system, what I have shown here, it is fixed to, see, there is one point here in this space in a 2D coordinate system, x and y, and from the origin we are drawing a line. This becomes a position vector and represented by r1. So position vector is always have a fixed location with respect to origin, and this cannot move as a free vector. This is always fixed. And there is one more point. Suppose you say P2, and OP2 represents the position vector of this one. Okay, so position vector is always with respect to a fixed system, fixed coordinates. And suppose this line segment, suppose you connect these two, and this P1 P2 represent displacement vector. So this is the displacement vector P1 and P2, and OP1 and OP2 represent position vectors in space. This is the shortest route or shortest path taken, P1 and P2, between these 2 points. And then suppose you assume that if something is moving from O to P2, so it can go like this: O next P1 as P2, and then like this also it can go O, P2 and P1. So this is the shortest path. So this represents the P1 P2 displacement vector, P1 P2. Okay. So in a displacement vector, doesn't depend on the initial and the final side, final magnitude. Only depends on the path, whatever you are taken from. So it doesn't matter what is the from where you start and where you ended. So for it's finally the actual path taken. It doesn't depend on from the initial one final position. Next we talk about multiplication of vector with a real number. Suppose there is a vector A. Okay, and there is one real number, positive real number A plus A. Suppose is equal to 1 or 2 or something, whatever. Okay, suppose you are multiplying with A times this vector, then this magnitude will be like this, A times this one. So suppose if A is greater than 0, that means what happens? Suppose A is small vector and suppose A is equal to 2. Suppose this is small a, and 2A will be like this, bigger than this one. So directly you can multiply a real number with a vector, so that magnitude changes, magnitude doubles, depends on the factor we are multiplying. So that is called the real number, multiplication by real number. Similarly, suppose you are multiplying with -1, suppose you are multiplying with -5, -5 will be like this, opposite side. So that doesn't change. So if you are multiplying a vector A with any factor, then the magnitude changes factor times. That means how much factor you are multiplying, but the direction remains the same until unless if you are changing with the minus sign. Okay. And next move on to one more concept is vector addition method. So in this we will deal about the parallelogram law of vector addition. Suppose in this view, in this diagram you have seen is if A vector A and vector B represented by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. Here you can take a P and Q with a common meeting point here. Then the resultant vector R is represented by a diagonal passing through the two adjacent sides. See, when the two vectors are meeting here, so they both tiles are meeting here, and this is going this side and this is going this side, and these two are the sides of the parallelogram, like when you complete it. Then the resultant of these two will be the R, which is diagonally passing with this within the point. So we'll derive what is the value of this one. Okay. So in this vector addition, we are now presently dealing with, we are deriving the for parallelogram. So when there is two vectors P and one more vector Q, okay, and the angle between them is Q, theta. So they are meeting at a common point here, you just imagine. So this is called head and this is called tail and this is called head. So when these tails are meeting here and they are represented by two sides of a parallelogram. So now we complete the parallelogram. So parallelogram have opposite sides are parallel, right? And we give a name for this one. This is suppose A and this is B and this is C, D. Okay, these all sides are parallel. Now as per our parallelogram law, when two vectors P and Q are representing two sides of a parallelogram, then the resultant will be along the diagonal R. Okay, so in order to complete derivation, we will see. Now we assume that this, assume that this resultant is making a beta angle. Beta is some unknown. See, don't bother about beta here. It is unknown with it's making an angle with respect to AD. Okay. Now what we will do is we will drop more line onto this line. Okay. Now this is meeting at point E. Now at these two lines, you see AB and CD are parallel. So from law of what we call adjacent, or you can say alternative angles, you assume that there are two parallel lines and this value is some alpha and this value will be also alpha because these two are parallel lines and this, so this is called alternative angles. Similarly here these two are parallel and there is a line crossing it, so this value also will become theta, right? Okay, now within the triangle, in triangle CDE here, whatever we are talking, this is the triangle. Okay, now this is the theta. Now what is the cos theta here? And okay, before that we will know that AB is equal to vector Q, right? And is also equal to, as these are two are parallel, is also equal to CD, right? Okay, and AD is equal to vector P, right? Okay, now in this triangle CDE, cos theta will be adjacent side is this and hypotenuse is CD, so adjacent side ED or DE by CD. CD you know that is ED by Q, right, from here. So therefore it is ED is equal to Q times cos theta. Similarly now okay, now what you want is from this triangle, in triangle one more triangle ACE, this is a right angle triangle and AC is the hypotenuse. So how we did from Pythagoras theorem, what it is called, AC square is equal to AE square plus CE square, right? So we know what is AE. AE is equal to again AD plus DE. Okay, we'll write down here AE is equal to AD plus DE or ED, sorry ED. AD is P, okay, from here, plus ED is whatever we derived here, is Q cos theta, right? So CE is again CE, you know it is C, sorry this is not CE, sorry, it is CE. Okay, one second. Again in this triangle CDE, in triangle CDE you also find sin theta. Sin theta is equal to CE by CD, CE by CD. Okay, CE is equal to CD times sin theta. CD is equal to again Q sin theta, right? CE. So here AE you know it is P plus Q cos theta, okay, whole square, plus CE is Q sin theta whole square, right? So that will be, so we move this here, so to understand. So what you're doing is, so we expand this one, so this is P square, that is A plus B whole square type, Q square and Q cos square theta. See this both are, Q is there and cos theta, both will be squared, and 2PQ cos theta, that is 2AB type, plus Q square sin square theta. Okay, right? See here, these two, in these two terms we have Q as common, Q square. What you will do, P square plus Q will take it as common in these two, that becomes cos square plus sin square theta plus 2PQ cos theta, right? So this identity becomes 1, because as you know, at trigonometric identity, sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So finally it is P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So that is the resultant R, okay, because AC square is R here, okay, AC square is R. So we represent AC square as R, okay. Finally, so we got the resultant. So resultant is this much, R square is equal to, R is equal to root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta, right? And suppose you want direction of this one, direction of this resultant. So in this you are saying there is a direction for, so direction of vector R means this vector, whatever this resultant is doing with respect to this axis, we say direction of vector, resultant vector is equal to tan theta is equal to opposite side by this adjacent side. So opposite side we know this is Q sin theta and P plus Q cos theta is the total this one. This is OA plus AC and this is BC here. So tan phi is equal to this by this. So this gives the direction of the vector R. Similarly we can see if you are having this direction, you see here, this is PU and this is Q, right? And this is the resultant R you are seeing there. So this fellow is making some beta here, or whatever angle, or beta or phi, whatever it is. So when you are completing the parallelogram like this, and you are making here, this is a theta, and this is E, and this is T, and this is C as per the diagram ABC, right? And you want this tan phi, and this is equal to Q and this is equal to, so this will be Q and this will be, so from the previous this thing we have seen that tan phi will be beta, whatever it is CE by, in this triangle CE by AE. So CE we know that it is Q sin theta, we already derived it earlier, and this is AD plus DE, that is equal to Q sin theta divided by AD is P again, and that is Q cos theta. So this is the direction of this resultant R vector. Okay, if you know theta, you can tell what is the direction of the particular resultant vector. So the parallelogram law is very useful. So when you know that when these two vectors are diverging, that means they are meeting at a point with tails in common, then we can use the resultant, and also we can use the direction formula for finding the magnitude as well as the direction of the vector. Okay, so here we have a special cases actually. So in these special cases we will we will see what are the different types of formulations happening here with respect to theta. So as you know that r is equal to, from the vector law, r is equal to p square or q square plus 2pq cos theta. So this is the resultant magnitude. I'm saying this is the magnitude. If you want to find the magnitude of the resultant, you can find this formula as you have seen in the earlier cases. So first case is when these two vectors are parallel. It means when in this case here, in the last case we derived when these two vectors are making an angle here, theta. So this is the formula for that. This is q and this is p. So but when vector is equal to 0, that means they are lying parallel to each other. So what happens here? This theta becomes 0. Tan cos 0 is equal to 1. So that what happens? This entire term will become p2pq, right? So r square is equal to p square plus q square plus 2pq, right? So these two things is the expanded form of p plus q whole square, right? And this is equal to r square. So then it is r is equal to p plus q when you are cancelling these two. So the resultant vector will be sum here, as you've seen here. When vectors are parallel, directly we can add both these vectors. Similarly, when the r is in theta is equal to 180 degrees, that means this vector is just like this, opposite to this one. It means theta is equal to 180. So when they are opposing to each other, this becomes cos 180 is equal to minus 1. Similarly, so what happened? P square plus q square plus 2pq to minus 1 here in this formula. So this becomes p square plus q square minus 2pq, that is equal to p minus q whole square, that is equal to r square. So these two will get cancelled, that is equal to p minus q. So when vectors acting parallel and opposite each other, this is the resultant vector. So here again one more is the when two vectors are perpendicular like this, as is shown, q and p, and this angle is 90 degrees. So r is equal to, so what happens here, cos 90 is equal to how much? It is 0, not 0 degrees, 0. So what happens in this formula? P square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta cos 90. So this is 0 then. That is equal to finally, that is p square plus q square plus 0. That means, so resultant will be like this only. So doesn't change. So r will be root of p square plus q square. So this is the special cases of different this vector addition when depending on the angle between them. So next is the vector addition using triangular law of addition. Previously we studied about parallelogram law, where when these two vectors are representing the sides of a parallelogram. Suppose now it is two vectors represented by sides of a triangle, then how it is? So in this diagram we are saying vector p and vector q are representing sides of a triangle, and as per the vector law of addition, triangular law of addition, then the resultant vector r is represented by the third side, it means this side. So when this vector is like this and this vector is moving like this, and this side represents the resultant vector in opposite direction. See, when you are drawing a vector like this, these two vectors, see, this is a head, this is a tail. So when this tail and head are meeting, and this is the common triangular law, and this fellow is representing the resultant side, and this will be in this direction. So this is again phi, whatever it is, the angle made by this is vector q and this is vector p, and r will be equal to the same p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta is angle between these two vectors here. This is theta. So in a triangle, both represent the same resultant. Both, when you are trying, parallelogram law actually confirms like this, when you are both are starting from the same point, like this tail matching. But in a triangular law, one head and tail are matching like this. So this fellow will be representing the heads. Here diagonal. It is the only difference. But magnitude in this case and magnitude in this case are same. That is, the magnitude will be similar in both cases. So if you want to find the direction of this vector phi in triangular law, especially when it is in triangular law like this, so this will be like this. So I will tell you here. Suppose this is the triangular law we are using. This is P and this is Q. As you know, this is theta, and this is the resultant at the third side. This is the third side, right? Closing side. And this will be phi minus theta, because this is 180 degrees, and inside will be phi minus alpha. And you assume now this is an other angle alpha and this other angle beta, or whatever it is, gamma or something. So as per sine law, this is a sine law you can learn in trigonometry. So when in the triangle, when these all sides are closed like this, so this opposite side and opposite angle, their ratio is always constant. So this is something like P, this is P, and opposite side is gamma. So P by sine gamma is equal to Q. This is one side, and opposite side is alpha, or you can say in the diagram it is phi, or this phi, sine phi, Q by sine phi. See, these are only unknown side, as I am just taking as unknown, nothing related to it. And R is this side, and opposite side angle is this one. So phi minus theta, sine phi. So this, from this you can get the direction of vector R. Okay, if you know magnitude from this formula, and this sine phi can be derived like this. You see, in this sine it is like this, sine phi. Okay, that is equal to R by sine phi minus theta. So you will find R using this formula. Okay, once you know, you will substitute it here. So only the unknowns are Q is known, you know Q because it's already given, and theta is also known. And from here you can now sine, this goes here, sine phi minus theta into Q divided by R gives sine phi here. Okay, that is how it is represented, vector addition. Next we do one problem here, so that your concepts will be clear. So there are examples. There are two forces, 10 newtons and 15 acting on a body. What is the maximum force and minimum resulting force on a body? So you can do using both triangular law as well as parallelogram law. So as you know, it is not definitely defined by like that. He is saying you had to use only particular law to solve this problem. So we will use directly only parallelogram law. Okay. So if you say these are two vectors, one is 15 and one is 10, and as a parallelogram law, this is the R. Okay. Now we want to see what is the maximum and the minimum forces. In resultant, well, you know formula P square plus Q square is equal to 2P Q cos theta. Okay. In this problem, we are given only magnitudes, that is P is equal to 15 or Q is equal to 10. Okay, but there is no mention of theta. Theta we don't know. Okay, but here he is saying to what is the maximum and minimum force. So maximum will be maximum R will be when this cos theta is equal to 1, right? Cos theta 1 means what? Then 0 is equal to theta is equal to 0. That means they are parallel. They are acting one after the other like this. So that gives a maximum resulting force. That is equal to R square is equal to P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos 0 is 1. That is 1. That means it is result is P plus Q. R max is 1. Simply we will add P 10 is equal to 25 newtons. Suppose you want to know minimum, R minimum. When this happens, R minimum, again here theta, P plus Q plus square, Q cos theta. This it is minimum when this is minimum, right? This happens when P square minus plus Q square minus 2PQ then it is when theta is equal to 180 degrees. That means they are acting in opposite directions. It is P minus Q. Again R is equal to, because again R square, we can convert this into P minus Q whole square, right? This will cancel and this is, so 15 minus 10, that is equal to 5 newtons. So this is how we find the minimum and maximum values for present resulting forces. So next we see one more problem, which is also dealing with this kind of whatever learned resultant forces. In this problem, we are seeing rain is falling vertically with a speed of 35 meters per second, and wind starts blowing after some time with a speed 12 meters to east to west. So in what direction a boy waiting at the bus stop should hold the umbrella? So first we will write the directions actually here. So always you remember, this is north and this is south, and this will be east and this will be west. Okay, what is given? Rain, speed of rain. Okay, rain velocity or speed, because it's been called VR you can call, because rain it is 35 meters per second. And what is given? Wind velocity is given as 12 meters per second, and have a direction specifically. So rainfall will fall only in this direction, and this fellow is given east to west. So wind is blowing in this direction like this, east to west, and rain is falling like this. Sorry. So wind is blowing like this, east to west, and rain is falling like this. And this is wind, sorry, and this is wind, and this is rain. So the resultant will be, so because these two are perpendicular to each other 90 degrees, so if you assume these two are representing the two sides of a parallelogram, see parallelogram can be like this, or the square, when a square is also a parallelogram, because one difference between a square and a parallelogram is, a parallelogram all sides are parallel, only adjacent sides are equal, but a square all sides are parallel and all sides are equal. Still this is but angle is 90 degrees. Similarly here, then this diagonal, suppose diagonal represents the resultant. Okay, now we will find what is resultant. Now as a special case, when two vectors are having angle 90 degrees between each other, as per the special case 3, R is equal to root of VW square plus VR square, right? You have seen there. See, when theta is equal to 90 degrees, this is the formula, as you have seen, that is, suppose like R is equal to P square plus Q square root, from the previous analysis we have seen. So here RW is 12 square plus VR is 35 square. So value will be, so now this will be around 37 meters per second. That means R is having resultant value of 37 meters per second. So when rain is, that means umbrella when fellow is touching here, so it has some magnitude falling on this one. Okay, now we have to find the direction of this one. So if say this is beta, this angle, so now we'll find what is the direction of wind direction. So now we'll find the what is the direction of this. See, in this, what is a boy standing at the bus stop should hold his umbrella. That means the rain is falling like this. Now we have found that resultant is equal to 37 meters. So what is the direction it will be? So now here this direction tan beta is equal to VW opposite side by adjacent side by VR. So VW is 12 divided by 35. So this is equal to 0.043. So beta is equal to tan inverse of 0.043. So this is equivalent to some 19 degrees. So the boy in the bus stop should hold the umbrella around 90 degrees to the vertical. So if there is, suppose the wind is falling, like suppose the rain is falling like this, that he has to keep the umbrella like this 19 degrees. So that rain is coming like this to him, like this. Umbrella he should hold like this. The boy, suppose the boy is here, the angle of this should be like this, so that it will fall like this 19 degrees. Okay, so this solves the problem. We will see one more problem here. What the question is, find the resultant of two forces F naught. Both, it means both are having same force, same magnitude F naught, but the angle between them is theta. See here, there are two forces. Sorry. Suppose there are two forces here, F naught, and both are equal, F naught, and there is an angle is theta. So now we have to find the resultant. How we will find the resultant will be this direction R. So R is equal to, so F naught square plus, both are 2 are F naught, and 2 F naught into cos theta, right? So that is equal to 2 F naught square and 2 F naught square cos theta. So that is equal to 2 F naught square common and 1 plus cos theta. So this is the resultant square, and if you square it, it is like something like this, root 2 into F naught root of 1 plus cos theta. This we can still solve this issue by when you are taking theta by 2, but this sufficients the problem. Next is one more problem. Here it is the sum of the two unit vectors is also unit vector. Find the magnitude of the difference. They are saying that there are two vectors A, and these are unit vectors. Unit vector, and B is one more unit vector. Okay, unit vector means what? Magnitude of this vector is equal to 1, and magnitude of vector is equal to 1. So what is saying is find magnitude of difference. That means vector A minus B. So this is what he is saying to find out. So what he has given is, if the sum of the two vectors is also 1, that means given, what is given here, sum of two unit vectors is also unit. That means A plus B is also a unit vector, that is equal to 1. Okay, now how we will find? So when you are saying A plus B is unit vector, that means A plus B is when you are saying two unit vectors, that the angle is 0 between them. Then when two vectors are parallel to each other, then only this comes. So we will say, we will take the resultant of two vectors R is something like this. R is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Okay, this is the resultant formula. So suppose you want to find the resultant, we want to find this sum. So we know this is 1 square, this is 1 square plus 2 into 1 cos theta, right? And this is 2 plus 2 cos theta. Okay, everything is under root. No, presently we are saying R square. So it is 1 plus cos theta, right? But R is given as R is equal to A plus B is equal to 1. So this will be 1. So 1 will take here 2, this is 1 by 2, 1 plus cos theta, right? So here it goes cos theta is equal to, so we will take this fellow here, 1 minus it is minus half. So cos theta is equal to cos inverse of half minus half. So this angle, you know that it gives the angle of this fellow. So that means, so when you know this angle, now our issue is not that we have to find what is the difference. So similarly, if you want to know difference, R is equal to A minus B is asking to find out magnitude. We know A plus B is given, so we have, from that we have derived this fellow. A minus B is again the same thing. It is A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta, right? That is equal to 1 plus 1 minus 2, 1, 1, 1, and cos theta is given as minus half from here, what I have derived. So that is equal to 2 minus 2 into minus, sorry. So here it is, So here from this it is 2 minus 2 into half minus half, this becomes cancels here, 2 and 2, and plus minus into minus plus, so 2 plus 1, that is equal to 3. So r is equal to root 3, that means difference of this unit vectors are minus, it is root 3. Okay, this is how this is the problem is solved.